Dave, just turn yours on down below.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the work session for November 7th to order. And if everyone would stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Thomas, if you would, please.
Okay, the first item this evening is the Sardis Road sewage, wow, this is hard, sewage service project. So there are 8 homes up on Sardis Road that are desirous of tapping into the public sewer system. They reached out to the municipal authority, and the municipal authority is designing an extension to be able to service those 8 homes. This is up in the vicinity of McAllister. And so in order to be able to move forward with that, one of the things that has to be done, we typically do this with all of the development projects, is you have to adopt via resolution a planning module to amend your sewage treatment planning, your 537 plan. So we've done this a couple of times in the last few months for the new developments. So the motion would just be to approve the resolution to amend the sewage treatment plan for the borough.
Any discussion? Agenda item?
So the next item is the Podobnik subdivision plan. This was submitted last month as a simple subdivision and was accepted as complete by council. Property is currently undeveloped and has no address. It's located at near the intersection of Renton Road there. If you were coming on Renton Road away from Renton and you made the left, the property would be on your right-hand side. The property is zoned RR. It's a roughly 18-acre parcel that they wanted to subdivide into a 10-acre parcel and an 8-acre parcel, one of which they plan to construct a new single-family home on.
Discussion? Agenda item?
I just have a question on this. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not sure.
Why would he want to keep 10 cents if he put everything into
Septic, I'm sure.
clean and green and kept 1 acre around his house and saved a hell of a lot of money on taxes? Just throw it out as, it just doesn't make sense to me, but that's his decision.
Any further discussion? Okay.
Item number 3 is the consolidation plan. The consolidation plan for this project, this property. As you know, we purchased the corner property. We have this existing property, and there's the old railroad right-of-way sort of up there as I'm pointing here, as well as the municipal authority property. Now, we do have to work out the deal with the municipal authority property for their property to be able to do this, but we wanted to get this process started so that we can at least have the consolidation plan started, so that we can start putting together an economic development plan for this site. So this is a simple subdivision as well, so at this time, all we're asking for council to do is to accept the application as complete.
Any discussion? Agenda item?
Item number 4 is the Cano plan of lots. So this is this proposed subdivision for the Kings Plaza on 286, where they are putting the sheets in. They are proposing to subdivide the existing property into 2 parcels. About half of the existing storefronts will remain. The other half will come down and be on a separate parcel. Then the sheets will be on a separate parcel. Both parcels will have their own means of egress, and their own parking, and will be established independently. This is also a simple subdivision as well, so at this time, we'd just be asking council to accept the application as complete. I will point out, however, that this is also land development and, what else is it, Dave? There's something else.
Conditional use.
Conditional use. So there will be multiple components to this, but this is the first step. And again, this isn't approving the subdivision. This is just accepting the application.
Has Sheets presented the plan yet?
Yes.
For their?
Yes. And they're in front of the planning commission, Dave.
So I think they just submitted their application, so I think this month, Planning Commission will accept the plans as complete with their testimony beginning at the December meeting.
Dave, do you know, is Concord staying there, the pizza
Yes.
place, or they're staying?
Well, that
They're moving
store
down.
is,
They're moving down.
that store is, but they're
Yeah,
moving,
moving
yeah,
down
they're
the
gonna be
other
down
end.
at the other end.
What's the conditional use that they're Seeking
At least drive-through, and then, I'm not sure, I think gas station and convenience store are both conditional uses, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But at least one conditional use, possibly three.
Wow. Good.
Any further discussion?
No.
Agenda item.
Item number 5 is the Colonial Point ordinances. So, as you know, with these private developments, what we typically do, or what's typically done, is the developer, once a certain portion of the development is complete, they will offer for dedication the infrastructure, so the streets, roads, storm sewers, detention ponds, all those things. And not every developer offers for dedication every piece of infrastructure, as you know, and sometimes they want to keep the entire plan private. In this case, though, in Colonial Point, the developer is proposing to dedicate all the infrastructure from Phase 2. Council already accepted Phase 1.
They accepted the Phase 1 lots. The ponds and easements are Phase 1 and Phase 2. And we didn't accept everything. Some of these have already been dedicated to the HOA for maintenance. But there is a comprehensive list in your packet that shows the ponds, the meets and bounds descriptions for the ponds, as well as the pieces of the various pieces we're going to accept.
I don't.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't upload that? Okay. I can forward it to you. I have the PDF right here.
And I'll put it in the packet if you can.
Yeah, I did send it to you, Mike, if you look.
Any further discussion?
Just to go back on that, as part of that also, so we're asking to advertise ordinances for dedication, accepting dedication. There's also an additional, in Phase 2, a stop sign where Patriot Court comes down to Winchester. I mean, the sign has been there. We've never adopted it. So now that we'll have a public right-of-way, we would advertise for that stop point to be established by ordinance. And along with that, we've discovered another stop point over at the intersection of Old Mine Road and Old Leechburg Road. It'll be in the same ordinance, adding that stop sign when the borough opened that road. For some reason, that was never adopted by ordinance.
So general housekeeping is essentially.
Yes. Yes.
Any further discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 6 is the public hearing dates for demolition. So Dave and his group were actually able to get a grant through the COG, the Turtle Creek Valley COG, to fund the demolition of 2 unsafe structures. Both of those structures were 7906 Salzburg and 488 New Texas Road. The public hearing was held for these. I'm sorry, this is to set the date. A public hearing is necessary for these. We need to set the date for that. In addition, back in August of this year, we also had a public hearing on a dangerous structure. At that time, the owner of the property was here, gave testimony. You gave the owner 6 months to address that. As of this date, the owner has not attempted to make any repairs, has not contacted planning department about getting necessary permits or assistance in being able to make those repairs.
Mike, I did drive by there one day, and he had a crew of guys up there, and they were cutting wood and building stuff.
He has a ladder there. It looks like he's trying to put some siding on, but, he has not addressed we haven't been inside the house, but
That's what I mean.
as part of this hearing that we're talking about, we'd like to bring him back for additional testimony. And before that testimony, we would certainly do an inspection of the property. But, we'd be bringing him back around the 5.5 month mark. I don't know if 2 weeks is going to make a difference here. So we're looking just to establish a meeting date somewhere, one of the last 2 Mondays of January, so the 23rd or 30th of January 2023.
So a question, so previously we approved like 3 or 4 structures, was that under a different grant?
No, so under the general fund, every year we get funded, the council funds us to do about 4 structures.
Okay.
So that's general fund. This is a grant, and then later in 2023, we'll be coming back in July or August for another hearing for the 4 that we're doing under what's being funded by the 2023 budget. So this is sort of a
So this is
one-off.
just a one-off
Yeah.
to an addition because of a grant, okay.
Yeah, we're just doing a little bit more this year because of that. The information on Colonial Point ordinance is updated in the agenda package. So normally, when we schedule these public hearings, we do try and schedule them right before a work session or or the voting meeting, but we just think that due to the length of these, potential length of these meetings or these hearings, that it'd be best to do it on a separate night. So do either of those proposed Mondays work for council or not?
Yeah, pick one, 23rd or 30th.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Send out a notice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be
Any
fine.
further discussion?
Those are Mondays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which ones?
23rd,
23rd or
30th.
30th.
They're both Mondays.
It's the fourth or fifth Monday.
Yeah.
Of January.
Yeah, either one should work.
Okay, pick one and just
Okay.
go with it.
All right. Item number 7 is actually, so the demolition of the projects that I think Mr. Seitz was referring to, the ones we normally do every year. You declared 3 structures, dangerous structures this year. The planning staff put the demolition contract out to bid. We accepted the bids on November 1st, received 8 bids. The low bid was $35,000 from Cherub Construction, who we have worked with in the past on these demolition projects. So staff does recommend awarding the contract to Cherub Construction.
So 35 is the total for all 4?
Yep. And just to note that the fourth one, we had a one-off last year. We had the guy who appealed the council's decision to court, to common pleas court, on 826 Garlow, and he lost that appeal. So he is up as one of the 4 under this contract.
So all 4 for 35.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Agenda item.
Item number 8 is the police officer, the retired police officer cost of living adjustments. That is, there are 3 of those this month, so that would be 3 separate motions or 3 items on the agenda.
Any discussion? Agenda item.
Okay. Item number 9 is an executive session to discuss staff salaries. Item number 10 is also an executive session to discuss the collective bargaining agreement with the police department. Item number 11 is the voting meeting date change. As you know, when council, one of the items, the very next item on the agenda, actually, when you authorized us to advertise the draft budget for 2023, by law, it must be advertised for 30 days, and you cannot take action prior to 30 days. The November meeting next week will be the 14th. The regularly scheduled December meeting for next month is December 12th, not 30 days. This happens probably at least 50% of the time, if you recall. What we've typically done in these cases is you could hold the December 12th meeting and then hold a separate meeting to adopt the budget. But the recommendation is to just move the December meeting to Wednesday, December 14th. And just we'll advertise the meeting moved from the 12th to the 14th.
Sounds like a great
That's
idea.
fine.
Makes sense.
Any discussion
Any
with
day
that?
other than my birthday is a good day.
Everybody like moving it to Wednesday?
Putting it in the calendar right now.
Okay.
Okay, item number 12 is the 2023 budget. I did not upload the entire budget to the agenda packet because it's a very large document, and when I tried to do it, it just timed out trying to do it. But what I did do is I uploaded the link to SharePoint, so and any one of you can at any time go and look at any one of the budget documents or all of the budget documents going back almost 15 years. So I did put the link in there for you to review the draft budget. I won't want to call it a proposed budget at this point. We did have the meeting with the Finance Committee last week. We do have some significant cuts to make to this budget to get it balanced. The budget as currently presented does not include a tax increase. It will require, to balance it, a combination of cutting some proposed projects and purchases and some additional positions that were proposed for this year, as well as using significant amount of fund balance, probably somewhere around $1.2 to $1.5 million in fund balance. and I know that may sound a little bit stressful to some people, but, you know, we've built up a significant fund balance over the years. This is one of the reasons why you build up that fund balance, so that you have that money when you need it. We just didn't feel that at this time, given what's going on in the economy and everything, that a tax increase was the right thing to do to the people. That's, you know, we have the fund balance that's there, that's available to be able to fund the minimum amount of things, expenses and actions that we need to get done next year. But there will be some significant cuts to certain things, mostly in capital projects, and again, mostly in capital projects and in additional positions that we have been so we've been holding off on a number of staff positions that we've needed over the years because we didn't have space in this building to fit them. So we're just kind of pushing those off a little bit, cutting that numbers down a little bit and pushing those off until 24, possibly 25, just until, you know, hopefully the economy will start to rebound again and we can take another look at this next year.
I think it's a
So-
good idea.
Yeah,
As
but
a-
one thing though, Mike, a lot of our costs are these stormwater projects and our infrastructure needs for any of the state roads in the borough. So there's a fee in there we're looking at increasing by, you know, like doubling basically. It's the what's it called? The
Stormwater
flood
management fee.
mitigation fee, but
Flood
it's the
mitigation
stormwater
fee.
management fee.
Yep.
It's currently like at $5 and really needs to be about 10. We should also look at the formula for doubling the business one too and make sure the cap's proper. So that will alleviate some of the problems this year, but next year we are gonna have an issue. We're gonna have to look at raising the millage.
And if there is an increase, so a couple things about, or just two things about the stormwater management fee. That does not have to be done, so taxes have to be done at the beginning of the year by ordinance. Stormwater management fee, just like your garbage fees can be enacted, can be changed at any time. But we generate about $750,000 a year in stormwater management fees, so if you, for however much you were to increase that fee, that would reduce that amount of fund balance that we would have to spend down to be able to balance the budget for next year.
What's the current cost of all of our stormwater projects?
Well, we don't fund all of our stormwater projects.
In one year, yeah.
Most of our stormwater projects right now are capital projects funded out of the bond fund.
Okay.
So they're not impacted by the 2023 budget at all, because they're capital projects funded out of the bond funds.
Okay,
Right, but it's the bond fund
What's-
payments that are.
But it's
Right.
it is the debt
So-
service
so they're
fund
in there.
payments
Yeah.
that,
right.
What's our surplus fund right now?
across all funds,
Approximately.
3, 5, 4,
It's more than that.
5,
3 point.
5.5 million. Projected, I'm sorry, 5.5 million projected at the end of this year.
Right. So out of the $5.5 million surplus, we're using 1.2 to 1 point.
5.
Yeah. I think that's a great.
A
move.
$4 million surplus is
It's a
still
lot better than
significant.
the alternative.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the way the economy is right now, that's the only way we can go. Any further discussion?
So, a couple things though on that. So first of all, the agenda, the items for next week will be the motion to advertise the budget as presented. And it will be fine-tuned by next Monday. The second thing is we have to advertise the resolution. Since we're not increasing taxes, we're not proposing to increase taxes, we can advertise that as a resolution, not as an ordinance. But for the local services taxes, local service tax and the earned income tax, which are not proposed as increase because they're at the statutory max anyway, those have to be advertised as well. So there are four motions next week: advertise the budget, advertise the 2 tax ordinances, and advertise the resolution.
Because we have to adopt those.
You have to adopt everything at the December meeting.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, agenda item.
One final item I do have for you, it's not an agenda item for next week, but we have,
Don't we have 13 down there? That stop sign you talked about?
oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun here, we do have 13, sorry. Dave, maybe you could explain, the stop sign at Old Leechburg and Old Mine Road was never added by ordinance, back when the project was done by the previous planning administration. So Dave and his crew caught it, so I think you're just gonna be adding that on to the ordinance to
Colonial
amend.
Point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know that that needs to be a separate item on the, it's not an agenda item for next
No,
week. We
well,
just
well-
wanted you to be aware of it.
We'll have it as one agenda item, yeah.
I'm sorry?
We'll have it as one agenda item. So
It will
whether
be
it's
agenda
here,
item.
you have Colonial Point and this on the same ordinance.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then,
There's one other thing?
yeah, and then finally, at the November meeting each year, we typically give you a copy of the, we give you a copy of the boards and commission terms and appointments that are due to expire at the end of this year. This is obviously, if you remember, a January agenda item, but we always give this to you in November to,
Here, bypass Harry.
Yeah.
Did Ryan get one? I got one. Okay.
so, well, we'll get them, I mean, because that's the final item. So this is not an agenda item for next week or even for December.
Just to
These are the
think about
appointments that are made in January. But we always provide, it is also uploaded to the agenda packet as well. We provide this to you every November and December so that you can start to recruit replacements, new members. And I would like to point out that we desperately need people for the zoning hearing board and the planning commission.
Okay, anything further? Okay. That's it?
That's all we have.
Okay. That concludes the meeting. Oh, Keith, I'm sorry. We do have someone in the audience tonight. Mr. Nowak, if you would, please.
I'm not sure, without asking the solicitor, but I believe the issue I have would fall under personnel. And I don't think it should be discussed at this podium. I don't know how to address it without, it has,
All those people that are here tonight, please leave. Go ahead.
seriously?
It's still being recorded.
But it's
It's still being recorded, though.
Yes.
I'm on TV.
Shut the recording off.
Yeah, I would think it would be appropriate.
Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session.